Hi, neighbors. Hello. It's April 20th. Glad to be here with you guys. I'm going to touch on a few important dates and events coming up, and then we'll jump into the agenda. Not too bad tomorrow, but very important presentation happening. So if you want to find out what it is without looking at my slide I shared earlier, you'll have to just stay tuned. Not very mysterious, sorry. So just wanted to say, get out and vote, damn it. And also that I understand why some people probably maybe don't want to vote. This is like the least exciting ballot, generally speaking, for the May 5th primary, especially in our county, in our district, but particularly so this year. It's kind of like, well, what's the point, right? Well, if you want to think about it like this, there's all kinds of crazy things happening in this country. There's all kinds of crazy rules and policies being talked about as far as like just any number of things, traveling and using your bank account and having to have your birth certificate for voting, and I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy things. But one thing that, voting in a primary can do is help keep you having an established pattern of voting. So, we have seen across the country various times over the past several years where people have been purged from the voter rolls just like after missing one election. That absolutely should not be happening. But if you want to do something to kind of help yourself, maybe feel a little more comfortable in that, just get out and vote. But I encourage everybody to get out and vote anyway. Even if you don't have a lot of choice, like I said, our sample ballot this go around, especially if you live in Red Bank, there's not a lot happening. But it is important to vote, to exercise your vote. And a lot of people will think, as we've heard about a million billion times, oh, one vote doesn't matter. It does matter. It's mattered in Red Bank. My first colleague got elected in 2020 with us by, I think, 27 votes. So those 27 people really mattered, or we wouldn't be having the conversation we're having today. So anyway, early voting is happening right now through April 30th, and that's for the May 5th primary. And then obviously you can vote on May 5th. The closest precincts for us, you can vote at any of the early voting locations, but the closest ones for us are the Hickson Community Center. They're open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And Saturday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or you can go to the Election Commission, which is open Monday through Friday 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can request an absentee ballot through April 25th. So if you are somebody who might meet criteria for that, you have just less than 5 days to request your ballot. All right, that's voting stuff. Some upcoming events. Actually, these are all events that are happening on Saturday. This Saturday is like crazy with events, plus like all the things that are happening in Chattanooga. This is just pretty much restricted to Red Bank, but we have our Earth Day cleanup, which is our annual cleanup that we do with Green Steps on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We'll be meeting at the Red Bank City Park, and you'll get supplies and everything, and then we'll be picking spots like throughout the city to go clean up trash in. Also, at the same time, Dirty Jane's is having their spring flea, and that's 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So even if you don't get to go right away in the morning, you could go after you finish picking up trash, because they're going till 4 p.m. Also simultaneously, our Red Bank Community Food Pantry is going to be working to start their first community garden outside of the Red Bank United Methodist Church, and that's going to be starting at 10 a.m. And then Saturday night here in Red Bank, we're having our first food truck Saturday event from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. And then also, if you're interested in hearing fun stories about life in local government and being the mayor, and you want to see funny people act out sketches, maybe like Parks and Recreation style, Improv Chattanooga has invited me to be a part of their program this Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Chattery. So if you would like to come and laugh with us and relieve some stress together for just an evening, I'd love to see you. And that's all I got for the Saturday. Pretty cram-packed. You'll kind of have to pick and choose where you want to be, but lots of options. So our work session is starting at 4:30 tomorrow, and that is because we're having our capital improvement plan presentation. This has been years in the making. Leslie Slay is our community development director, and she has been the point person for this for ever since we hired her, which, gosh, I think was almost 4 years ago, if not right at 4 years. And it's just taken us a long time to get to the place where we could finally put this together. So capital improvement plan is something that we have never had in place in 71 years of existence as an incorporated city. Capital improvement plan helps us figure out how we need to budget for debt service for large capital improvements that cost $50,000 or more. We are looking at a 5-year horizon, and then I think she kind of touched on it with me, when I met with her one-on-one. I don't know if she'll touch on it at all because she doesn't want to get caught in the weeds, but she has a couple of things that, to talk about, just to note that we know we're going to have to look at beyond, in the 1 or 2 years after that 5-year horizon, like a fire apparatus, and I can't remember the other item right now, but so basically we're looking at the next 5 years. We're looking at what kind of revenue we need to support debt service to pay for those capital improvements. We don't have a capital improvement fund right now because we are a shoestring budget as it is. Most of our budget goes toward personnel costs, salaries, insurance, salaries and insurance, and then retirement. We pay into Tennessee Consolidated Retirement Services. And that goes up every year. Like our fire and police already did their presentations, and they talked about how retirement costs went up, how, a certain percentage this year, just like everything else. Gas, as we all know, is going up, and that's astronomically high for us because a lot of our vehicles are diesel fuel operated. And as you guys, if you haven't noticed, diesel fuel is like $5.50 or something like that per gallon. So yeah, it's a lot. So, but we are going to be talking about what kind of facilities improvements, what kind of equipment is going to be needed to be replaced in the next 5 years, what kind of vehicles are going to be need to be replaced in the next 5 years. We're going to be talking about project investments. So, our TDOT projects that we have 4, I think, that are in progress right now. 3 of them are legacy projects prior to our time on the commission. So these are like 2020, early 2020 and before. One of them is since I have been elected, but it's we've only been in the design stage of that one so far. So all of that to say, those are contracts that have already been signed. We've got TDOT grant funding, so we can't stop those. We have to continue forward with those until they're completed. And then we have, other potential TDOT projects that we have talked about, for the future. So we'll have to look at how we can prioritize those over the next 5 years. With all of the other needs, infrastructure, repaving projects, those kinds of things. It's a big, big topic. And so I would say that if you attend any meetings or watch any meetings, I would strongly encourage you to attend or watch this meeting that we're having tomorrow. This is going to be really at the center of our budget conversation for the next 2 months. So very important for you guys to know what we're talking about. So yeah, 4:30 work session. We're going to have our monthly financial update, which that will just take a couple minutes. And then after that is when Director Slay will be doing the presentation on the capital improvement plan. And then we've got our next agenda item is to approve the renewal of our contract with McKamey for animal control services for next fiscal year, $85,951. I don't remember what an increase that is. I think it's maybe, I think it's like $5,000 or $6,000. It's about the same amount every year that it goes up. Like all of our contracts go up every single year. Sometimes more than that. Then the next item that we have is awarding the Red Bank Citizenship Scholarship Award. And this is something that we started, this will be the 3rd year that we're making this award. So this was started back in 2024, where we coordinated with the high school principal, counselor, school board member to identify a student that met certain criteria as far as like leadership, volunteerism, how they're supporting their peers at school, and those kinds of things, and then their academics as well. And so they always refer a student to us, and then we vote on the scholarship award. And it's a $500 scholarship award and a certificate, and they have to either be enrolling in like a college or university, or in a like post-secondary trade school program. So they just have to provide us proof of that, of their enrollment in one of those programs, and then they will receive that $500 check to help them hopefully pay for a few books or something like that. And yeah, so I won't give away who it is, but I'm very excited to acknowledge this student tomorrow. Our next item is appointing attorney Bryan Hoss as the interim Red Bank City Court Judge. He is has been serving as our interim judge on a 30-day cycle for the past, I think, 4 or 5 months. But unfortunately, due to the deactivation of Johnny Houston's law license due to his present medical disability status, that meant that he could no longer serve as our judge. And so we voted to vacate the seat at our last meeting on the 7th. And our charter now allows us to appoint someone to sit in that judge seat until the next election. Oh shoot, I forgot to pull that up. Speaking of that, because this was like an emergency circumstance, we had to coordinate with the election commission, and we are going to have a special election to fill the judge seat for the remainder of the term. That election will be happening in August, which that is when the judge is typically elected. However, this is not the year that our judge seat would typically be elected. They would be elected this August, and they would serve the remainder of the term, which would expire in August of 2030. So if you are a licensed attorney in the state of Tennessee and you have lived in Red Bank for 1 year or longer, I believe that's the only criteria, and you're in good standing with the licensing board, Board of Professional Responsibility, you can pick up qualifying papers right now. That is open now through don't quote me on this, but I believe it's June 21st. You can pick up papers to run for city judge, and then you would be on the ballot in August. So we'll be appointing Bryan Hoss, like I said, to fill the term at least now until the August election. And then we will vote in August on who will sit in that seat until 2030. Our next item of business is just recognizing April 22nd as National Administrative Professionals Day. As we all know, most of us wouldn't survive without administrative professionals in our lives and our places of business, and so we want to acknowledge them and thank them for the tireless and sometimes very thankless work that they do. And then finally, our last item of business is approving a contract with the Wright Brothers for paving from Browntown to Gadd Road. This is one of those TDOT projects that I was talking about. That's a legacy project. I think that contract was originally signed in like 2018 or 19, as far as like initiating the project. And then we are just now in a stage where we can actually hire the contractor to do the repaving work. I'm really excited about this repaving work, particularly from Browntown Road to Gadd Road on Dayton Boulevard, because that project is going to not just be repaving, it's going to be restriping as well. So right now, it's 5 lanes, 2 northbound lanes, 2 southbound lanes, and a turn lane until you get to the recycling center where that turn lane just goes away. And then, just after that, after Gadd Road, it narrows down to 2 lanes. So what the plan is to restripe it for 3 lanes. It's going to be 1 northbound lane, 1 southbound lane, and a dedicated turn lane, all the way from Browntown to Gadd Road. And that's for a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons was that actually was planned before we found out we were going to get to do the restriping project on the south end of town on State Route 8, because we didn't know that we were in TDOT schedule until we were told right before those plans were starting to get worked on. And we had already made the plan for this restriping and repaving project. But like I said, we're just now to the point where we're able to hire the contractor to do the paving. But yeah, so it was originally intended to be like a pilot for like lane reduction, to open up, make it safer to travel there, first of all, because that, like I said, that turn lane where it ends is right where everybody needs it to be. So having that dedicated turn lane there just makes it a lot safer for everyone who needs to travel in those lanes or turn out into those lanes, which I'm one of those people because I live up here in North Red Bank. Have to turn left onto Dayton Boulevard north of Browntown Road. And then, it's kind of hard sometimes when there's 2 lanes of traffic that you got to cross. So reducing lanes always makes it safer for everybody. It also opens up our shoulders for people who are not traveling in vehicles, who are either on bike, in a stroller, in wheelchairs, on a scooter, whatever. So there's that. But that also sets us up for future sidewalk installation, because right now with all of those lanes, there's not enough room to have sidewalks on the side of Dayton Boulevard from Browntown to Gadd Road on both sides. So that's going to open up that potential for us to install sidewalks in the future, which that is a high priority, sidewalk connectivity up in the north end, because it's severely lacking and has been neglected forever and ever and ever, long before I was ever elected. So, yeah, so it's just getting started on that first, construction stage. And I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to improve the flow of traffic there, and it's going to be a lot safer for everybody, and it's going to give us more options, like I said, in the future for, maybe bike lanes, but certainly sidewalks, pedestrian pathways, and make it safer for folks who aren't in vehicles, who are already traveling in those spaces, to be in those spaces. So anything we can do to add safety for all of the users that are on the roadways is a good thing. So that's it. The only other things we're voting on, we do have some unfinished business. We're voting on doing our second and final readings of our budget amendments that we talked about at last meeting, revising the speed limit in the downtown area of Red Bank around Morrison Springs Road and Ashland Terrace, and down on the south end outside of the Stringers Ridge Tunnel or Cherokee Tunnel up to Hedgewood Drive, and then establishing the school zones. So that's it. If you guys don't have any questions, I'll see you tomorrow at 4:30 at our work session for our capital improvement plan presentation and our work session, and then our regular meeting. And then we'll meet again next Tuesday, the 28th, for a budget workshop. So just stay tuned for that. Get out and vote. Have a good night.